Hello YouTubers, Rogue Monkey Jr. here, and today we got a video on the new free-to-play title, well it's in beta right now, that came out on Steam a couple of days ago, which is called Paladins. So if you guys don't know what that is, you should just go check out like the info on the game or something like that. It's free to play, it's on Steam, you can try it right now, and there are currently almost 1 million players playing the open beta for Paladins. So it's got a lot of positive review. But at the same time, when the actual trailer came out a couple of weeks ago, and the game launched, well, the beta launched, there are also a lot of negative views on the game, seeing as it is very, very similar to Blizzard's Overwatch game. And this is what this video is going to be talking about, is if the game is actually copying Blizzard's Overwatch, or if it's just a coincidence that there are many things that are similar between the two games. So the actual co-founder of Hi-Rez Studio, Todd Harris, actually went on Reddit and addressed the comments that were pointing out that Paladins was actually a copy or clone of Blizzard's Overwatch, but Harris also stated that Paladins was actually in development before Overwatch was announced, and they said that despite the similarities between the two games, they still stick to whatever they had in mind for Paladins because the other approaches didn't test well in their focus groups. So Paladins is basically a 5v5 team-based shooter, if I can say so, which both teams fight over 1 point. Right now there's only one map out, and the game mode that is out is actually very similar to the game modes in Overwatch, but it actually mixes kind of both together. Both teams fight for a central point, and then depending on which team gets that central point, a payload pops up, and then you have to escort the payload to the next point. That's oddly similar to Overwatch's payload system, and also even in some maps you have to capture the point to unlock the payload so you can escort it. So there's a lot of similarities in the game modes. Some other similarities are between some of the characters. So some of the characters are just freaking, it's like the same thing. So let's first start off with Kinessa. So Kinessa is basically a damage dealer, and she has a rifle which can second as a sniper rifle if you hold down the click button to charge up her shots. She also has these electric mines that you can throw out, and a teleporter that can shoot her up to wherever she put the teleporter, which is oddly familiar to Widowmaker in Overwatch. She has a rifle that can second for a sniper rifle. If you hold down the click, it powers up the shot. She also has a hook, a grappling hook to get her to wherever she wants to go, and she also has the venom mines which she deploys to do damage over time to the enemies. That seems quite similar, if I'm not mistaken. The next character that there's a lot of similarities between the two is Fernando. So Fernando is a tank character. He has this very modern yet old-looking medieval armor. He has a shield, a barrier that can be deployed to block damage. Sounds familiar to you guys? He also has a short-range flamethrower that you can't really use for long range, and he has a charge and something that kind of looks like a fire strike, which makes me think of, oh yeah, Reinhardt from Overwatch, some old aging German hero who also has a blue shield that he can deploy, also has a charge, and also has the fire strikes ability. So what's up? Another character that's familiar is Drogos, which is a rocket-wielding, jetpack-using character. So his main weapon is actually a rocket launcher, which has 6 shots in it. He can fly up into the air, and if you hold the spacebar, you can actually float around. So what does that make you think of? I'm thinking of Pharah from Overwatch, which also has the ability to shoot up in the sky and float up there if you hold the spacebar or the right click. And also, oddly enough, she also has a rocket launcher with 6 shots. So those are just some of the characters that I'm showing in this video. There are more characters that have a lot of similarities. There's a character that is almost the exact copy of Torbjorn in Overwatch. He's a little short-sized character that can deploy turrets and repair them with his tools. So despite the fact that there are many similarities between the actual heroes in the two games, there are also similarities in the actual interface and the reward system. So when you level up, you get these loot chests in Paladins. In Overwatch, when you level up, you get loot boxes that you can open for different rewards. The matchmaking system and all that is quite similar also. There's quick play, there's competitive, you can go into the practice range, and play versus AI. So it's all very difficult to actually see which game, if it's actually a copy or just coincidence that they both are very alike. Now, despite all the previous mentioned similarities between the two games, I've actually played Paladins for a bit, and there are actually a lot of things that differ from the two games. So basically, in Overwatch, you can switch heroes whenever you feel like you need to during the actual game. In Paladins, that's not quite the case. You can, at the beginning of the match, you get credits to buy these items, which you can put on your character, and that is what's gonna make you adapt to whatever the other team is running as a character, because you cannot switch characters in between the matches. So after you finish your first part of the match, you can go back and upgrade either an item or choose another one. So it all depends how you want to play your character. And there's also the fact that you can actually upgrade your character with cards. It's a card system, basically. You have 12 points to put in your loadout, and you can choose from the cards that you have unlocked from the loot chests. So that's something that's very different from Overwatch, is the fact that you might be going up against a champion that is exactly the same character as you, but is being played completely differently because of the loadout system and the items that the person has chosen to put on that champion. On the other hand, in Overwatch, you know that no matter if you come up against the same hero as you, they're going to have the same abilities, and it's mostly going to be skill based on who is better than the other player, right? In Paladins, it's more about how you're going to play your character to overcome the enemy team, depending on if they have heavy damage dealers, a lot of tanks, a lot of supports. So that's also things that you have to think about and that you can customize in the game. As I said before, it is a free-to-play game. You can buy upgrade packs, of course, and all that stuff, if that's what tickles your fancy. And something that is also very different in Paladins is that every time you spawn in, you get a horse mount to get to the objective faster, which I find is kind of weird because some characters kind of look odd on horses, if I might say so myself. Giving an example, Drogos is a flying dragon with a rocket launcher that's riding a horse. It kind of looks weird, but whatever, it's just not my personal taste. I actually had a lot of fun playing Paladins, however, but you just can't shake that feeling. You're like, oh, I think I'm going to take this character. You play it, and then you're like, oh, I'm good with this character. That's weird, because you feel like you've already played it before. That's why you feel that you're good and proficient with that character, because if you played Overwatch, and let's say you play Pharah in Overwatch, and you go over to Paladins, and you use Drogos, you're going to be like, well, this is just easy. Well, yeah, because you've had so much experience playing Pharah, and you jump onto Drogos, it just seems like basically the same thing. But also some things that differ from Paladins from Overwatch is each character has 5 abilities. So as opposed to Overwatch, each character has 2 abilities with the right click and passive abilities. So that's something that's a little bit different. All in all, I can't really put my stance on whether Paladins is actually a copy or clone of Blizzard's Overwatch. I think, yes, they have a lot of similarities. But honestly, these days, a lot of games that do come out base themselves on other games, previous titles, or are going to have things that are similar between them. Because honestly, there's just so many games that come out nowadays that it's hard to actually be a unique title. Paladins, I think, is going to get all the praise it deserves, and it's going to get a healthy player base. I don't think they're going to have a hard time attracting players to their game and all that, as I also don't think that Overwatch is having a hard time with their player base at the moment. So that's about it for today's video. Just tell me in the comments down below what you guys think, if you guys have an opinion on a subject, if you've played Paladins, if you've played Overwatch, if you think they're really similar, if you think they're copies of each other. Just let me know in the comments down below. I'll be happy to read them and see what you guys think about it. But yeah, that's about it for today's video. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.
This